now we are going to talk about complexes with the infinitive and with participle 1 and participle 2. So they all have similar structure, and they're also called complexes of secondary predication. Predications, primary predication is subject and predicate that most of the sentences have. So secondary predication, it's kind of subject and a kind of predicate, but in another form. This nominative part is usually in the form of the pronoun or a noun in the nominative case in the complexes we are going to talk about, and the verbal part is either the infinitive or the participle 1 or 2. So their structure, I remind you, it's absolutely the same as with the gerundial complex. And the examples, do you mind my opening the window is the gerundial complex. You can remember that my is the possessive pronoun that signifies the gerundial complex. For him to study hard was a torture. For him to study, for him is the nominative part, to study is the verbal part. They being so kind, we could spend a lot of time there. They being so kind. So they is nominative part, being so kind is the verbal part. I want them to come as soon as possible, them to come. So you can see that the structure is similar. Their functions in the sentence are different. Out of 4 of the complexes you can see as examples, the first one is gerundial in the function of the object in the sentence. For him to study is the 4 to infinitive construction, or complex, and it can perform loads of functions in the sentence: subject, attribute, object, part of the predicate, and so on. You'll see adverbial modifier. Here, it performs the function of the subject. The next one is the participial complex. They being so kind, we could spend a lot of time here. It's called absolute participial complex. Why absolute? It's because absolute means independent. So it stands apart from the main part of the sentence. And if you can see something a bit strange, this is an absolute complex with the participle 1 or participle 2. Here we've got participle 1. You remember that ing form is for the participle 1 and the gerund. So the last here on this slide is them to come is the objective with the infinitive construction or complex. It's called objective because it performs the function of the object in the sentence all the time. So it is easier to identify it and to translate as well, because there aren't so many ways of translation. We should remember one thing about the translation of the complexes. It is that because they are secondary predication complexes and they imitate, they pretend to be subject and predicate. It means that any predicative complex can be translated with the help of a clause. So both of the parts can be transformed into complete subject predicate group. So the complexes with the infinitive. First one is subjective complex with the infinitive, or subject complex, or nominative complex. It depends on the terminology. Why is it called so? Because the nominative part of the complex coincides with the subject of the sentence. So it's a bit different because we have to look for it in the sentence. It doesn't usually go together, like in the examples. He was known to be a wealthy man. He, to be a wealthy man, is the complex. He is the subject as well of the sentence, and was known, and the rest is the predicate. So the infinitive is the part of the is the nominative part of the predicate. Mike is thought to have gone abroad. Mike to have gone abroad is the complex. They appear to be working on the project. So you can see that the main verb can be in passive or in active form, but it depends on the verb. Inactive with this complex, we find all the verbs like appear, likely, to be, and so on. They are link verbs, if you remember this terminology. So, but most of the verbs which are transitive, they are found in the passive voice, and they are usually translated from in a bit reversed order with the help of the impersonal verb. Знаю, що він, вважаю, що Майк, здається, вони. Just a little hint for you to translate later during the class.